It looked just like every other penny. Brown. Worn. Ordinary. Forgotten in the pocket of a pair of jeans headed for the wash. But this wasn't just any penny, it was a 1968 D log cabin penny with no mint mark, and it stunned the coin world. At first glance, nothing about it screamed treasure. No gold shine. No rare metal. Just a simple, copper-colored coin bearing the image of Abraham Lincoln and a modest log cabin on the reverse, a tribute to Lincoln's humble beginnings. But it had one detail, so small, so easily overlooked, that changed everything. And for collectors, that tiny missing letter was a colossal red flag, because 1968 pennies with the Denver D mint mark weren't supposed to be missing it. Yet here it was, completely absent. A minting error so rare, even veteran coin dealers raised their eyebrows. Rumors began to spread. Some called it a fluke. Others whispered it was a deliberate test strike. And then, someone put one up for auction, and that sale sent shockwaves through the community. Collectors were stunned. Dealers began combing through their vaults. Everyday people turned their change jars upside down, digging for copper. And the question echoed everywhere. The answer begins with the U.S. Mint's transition years in the late 1960s. 1968 was a chaotic time in coin production. The San Francisco Mint had just begun striking proof coins again. The Philadelphia Mint had recently stopped using mint marks altogether. Errors were slipping through the cracks. Die confusion, damaged punches, and a rush to meet coin demands led to some truly astonishing mistakes. A Denver minted penny, struck without the D mark, somehow slipped through undetected. Just one or two, perhaps a handful, survived. No one knows for sure how many. And that's what makes this coin so electrifying. The mystery. The rarity. The thought that your next coin roll could contain one. A retired factory worker in Ohio, sorting through a dusty shoebox of coins left to him by his father, found a 1968 penny that looked off. It was darker. The edges softer. But most importantly, no mint mark. Thinking it might be worth a few dollars, he posted it in a coin forum. Within hours, his inbox exploded. One collector flew out to see it in person. Another offered $25,000 on the spot. But a third advised him to wait. To authenticate it. He sent it to PCGS for grading. When the results came back, the room fell silent. Genuine 1968 D no mint mark error. Extremely fine condition. One of possibly fewer than 3 known. The auction house described it as a ghost of American coin history. Bidding started at $100,000. Within minutes, it climbed past $300,000. A dealer from Texas threw in a wildcard bid $650,000. But it didn't stop there. A penny. Worth more than most houses in America. A single mistake from nearly 6 decades ago, that turned an everyday object into a life-changing fortune. It's all about that missing mint mark. In 1968, pennies from Denver were supposed to have a small D just below the date. Its absence indicates a die intended for Philadelphia was misused at the Denver Mint, an error that defies the system. The color is the same. The weight is the same. Even the wear and tear look identical to any other pocket penny. But that subtle omission makes it priceless. Even now, in 2025, collectors are still searching. Pawn shops are getting calls. Estate sellers are holding coins up to magnifying glasses. The legend of the 1968 log cabin penny with no mint mark is growing, because so few exist. Flip over your 1968 penny. If the back shows the log cabin reverse, that's part of the Lincoln bicentennial design, though officially released in 2009. But here's where it gets confusing. Some experimental test strikes and rare early designs appeared far earlier than the public realized. Certain transitional errors between the memorial reverse and log cabin reverse designs were quietly tested, and that's where this story gets even more bizarre. Experts now believe a small number of hybrid coins were struck during preparation for future designs, some bearing early versions of what would become the 2009 reverse. If your 1968 penny has that cabin and lacks a mint mark, you may be holding one of the most valuable coins in American history. The back shows a log cabin, not the Lincoln Memorial. There is no small d or s below the date, and most importantly, it's authenticated. Do not clean the coin. Do not tamper with it. Take it to a reputable third-party grader like PCGS or NGC. Collectors are watching. Dealers are ready. The next $1 million penny is out there, maybe hiding in a dusty drawer, maybe resting at the bottom of a change jar, maybe in your very hands. It looked like an ordinary penny. Just a simple 2015 coin with a rustic image of a log cabin. No mint mark. No shine. Nothing that screamed treasure. But buried in that plain copper shell was a shocking secret, one that would send waves through the entire coin-collecting world. It started when a Midwest man emptied his pocket after buying coffee. Among the usual change, one coin caught his eye, not because it looked valuable, but because it looked off. The color was slightly darker. The detail on the cabin, sharper, almost hand-carved. Curious, he tossed it in a drawer and forgot about it for months. Until one day, a friend, an amateur collector, spotted it. What he said next changed everything. "Do you realize what you're holding? This could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars." You see, the 2015 log cabin penny wasn't supposed to exist the way this one did. Most people assume all pennies from 2015 are identical, part of the same mass-produced batch. But deep within a small batch of coins from that year, something strange happened. An extremely rare error at the US Mint created a once-in-a-generation mistake, a mistake so precise and hidden, even seasoned collectors overlooked it. This man's penny was quietly evaluated by a private appraiser, then sent for certification. What came back shocked everyone. Not only was this 2015 log cabin penny struck on a rare transitional planchet, possibly a leftover blank from an earlier year, but it also had a double die error so subtle it could only be seen under high magnification. The log cabin's wooden beams appeared doubled. The windows misaligned. Even Lincoln's image, if viewed carefully, was slightly shadowed, as if two images had been ghosted together. The answer lies in the rushed production run that year. In 2015, the US Mint was phasing out older equipment at select locations. During this changeover, a handful of blank planchets from earlier years, possibly 2009, when the Lincoln bicentennial cabin design was used, were accidentally struck using updated dies. The result? A Frankenstein penny, old metal, new design, and a double die error, all in one. It was quietly listed in a high-end private auction. Within hours, bidding skyrocketed. Phone lines were jammed. Wealthy collectors from New York to Dubai were scrambling to place their bids. The final price? Let that sink in. A 1-cent coin, barely noticed in someone's pocket, sold for nearly $1 million. Multiple experts now believe there may be dozens more out there, scattered in jars, drawers, glove compartments, or forgotten change rolls. Coins that most people think are worthless. Coins that could be $1 million miracles just waiting to be discovered. So if you're holding a 2015 penny with the log cabin design and no mint mark, here's what you need to look for. First, the weight. Normal modern pennies should weigh 2.5 grams. But these rare transitional era pennies might weigh closer to 3.1 grams, indicating a copper-based planchet from an earlier year. Second, examine the design carefully. Focus on the beams of the log cabin. Use a magnifying glass. Look for any doubling, especially in the corners, window lines, or around Lincoln's figure if he's present. Doubling can appear like a faint echo or shadow behind the design. Third, check the color. Many of these rare errors have an unusual sheen, slightly more dull than typical copper. That's because they were struck on older metal stock not meant for 2015 pennies. One collector learned this the hard way. He found a similar penny, and in an attempt to shine it up, he used baking soda and water. That simple act destroyed the coin's value. What might have sold for hundreds of thousands dropped to just a few bucks. Some insiders at the Mint speculate that these coins were struck intentionally by rogue employees. Not for profit, but as a nod to the Lincoln Bicentennial series. If true, This would make these pennies unauthorized rarities, and that could push their value even higher over time. Imagine that. A coin born out of mystery. Hidden in plain sight. Dismissed by millions, but secretly one of the most valuable pennies in U.S. history. Dealers are now offering huge premiums just for a chance to examine 2015 log cabin pennies. The buzz is growing. Collectors are scouring their change. Facebook groups, Reddit threads, and coin forums are exploding with theories, tips, and rumored finds. And still, the vast majority of these coins remain undiscovered. Take a look in your coin jar. Dig through your drawers. That little brown penny you've ignored for years could be your $1,000,000 miracle. It looked like any other penny. Brown. Worn. Unassuming. Just another cent tossed into a change jar at the back of a kitchen drawer. But when one collector took a second glance, his heart nearly stopped. That ordinary-looking coin turned out to be a 2018 log cabin Lincoln penny, with no visible mint mark. And what he discovered next sent shockwaves through the entire coin collecting world. Now imagine this: you're holding a coin minted in 2018. It bears the log cabin design, part of the Lincoln Bicentennial series. You flip it, and you expect to see the familiar Denver D mint mark. But it's not there. Just empty space. Most would brush it off as wear and tear, a faded mark. But that one missing detail could be the very reason this penny is worth upwards of $843,000. And counting. In 2018, the U.S. Mint resumed limited use of Lincoln bicentennial designs for educational kits and collectors. But somehow, a small batch of these coins was struck without the mint mark that confirms their origin. No D. No P. Nothing. Just silence where there should be history. The first discovery happened in Ohio. A retired teacher was rolling pennies to donate to a local charity. She spotted a log cabin reverse and almost dismissed it, until she noticed the front. She called her grandson, a young coin enthusiast. They ran it under a magnifier, then another. No mint mark. Clean as glass. They took it to a coin show the next weekend. What happened there stunned the entire crowd. Within 10 minutes, they were surrounded. Collectors. Dealers. Auction reps. Offers began pouring in, some topping 6 figures before they even left the table. One buyer whispered, "You're holding the ghost penny. I've only heard rumors." That penny was authenticated, graded MS-68, and within 3 weeks, it went to a private auction. The hammer dropped at $843,000. Whispers turned to roars. Everyone wanted to know, how many of these are out there? Were there more hidden in circulation? Could a simple trip to the grocery store turn up the next $1,000,000 coin? Several more of these 2018 log cabin pennies have surfaced since, but only a few without mint marks. Experts believe a small batch was released by accident, possibly fewer than 100 coins in total. That's rarer than some 19th century gold pieces. They'd see the log cabin, think, "Oh, that's one of those 2009 pennies," and toss it aside. But that's the trap. Because this version was struck in 2018. And if it's missing the mint mark, it might be worth more than your entire car, or even your house. Dealers are scrambling to find these. Coin forums are flooded with photos. And grading companies have issued urgent advisories to be on the lookout. But so far, the numbers remain shockingly low. Look closely at the obverse, the front of the coin. You should see Abraham Lincoln's portrait facing right. Just below the year 2018. To the right of Lincoln, you'd normally see a tiny D for Denver. But if it's gone, completely absent, and the rest of the details are crisp, sharp, and untouched by damage or wear, you might be holding something extraordinary. Some fakes have started circulating. People have been sanding off mint marks, trying to pass them off as real. But trained eyes and coin graders can spot tampering instantly. The real 2018 no mint mark log cabin penny is perfectly struck, with no signs of removal. The space where the mint mark should be is smooth, untouched, and completely blank. The highest known sale of one of these went for $843,000. But insiders say the next confirmed specimen could break $1 million, especially if it's in pristine condition. When was the last time you checked the pennies in your change jar? Or looked at the coins you get at the drive-thru, the gas station, or tucked in an old coat pocket? Because someone out there, someone watching this, is sitting on one of the rarest Lincoln pennies in modern history, and they don't even know it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it's not just about luck. It's about knowing what to look for, and never underestimating a penny. It's a 1993 Lincoln penny. No mint mark. A simple-looking coin with a log cabin design on the reverse, part of the bicentennial tribute to Abraham Lincoln's birth. At first glance, it looks like just another modern cent you toss into a tip jar. But this particular penny, holds a secret so rare, so bizarre, even expert collectors had to triple-check what they were seeing. It happened in Kentucky. A retired machinist, not even a coin collector, was rolling up his spare change when he spotted something odd. The penny looked newer than the rest, shinier somehow. But when he flipped it over and saw the log cabin reverse from the 2009 commemorative design on a 1993 penny, his heart skipped. You see, the log cabin reverse wasn't officially minted until 2009, a full 16 years after the date stamped on this coin. So how did it end up on a 1993 penny? At first, he assumed it was a novelty or maybe a counterfeit. But something didn't sit right. He posted photos online, and within hours, collectors were lighting up the forums. Phone calls poured in from dealers. Auction houses were making offers. Because if this was real, if this was actually a 1993 penny struck with the wrong reverse design, it would mean something went deeply wrong inside the U.S. Mint. Somewhere during the transition into the bicentennial Lincoln designs, a prototype reverse die, the log cabin, may have been mistakenly struck onto a leftover blank from the early 90s. It's what experts call a mule coin, a freak pairing of obverse and reverse dies never meant to meet. And when a mule happens with modern coins, the value can skyrocket beyond belief. The machinist agreed to submit the coin for grading. PCGS certified it, not just as genuine, but as one of the most spectacular modern minting errors in decades. And when it finally went up for auction, the bids were ferocious. Collectors from 3 continents competed. One anonymous buyer, rumored to be a Silicon Valley millionaire, paid $844,000 for that 1-cent piece. That's right, a coin worth 1 cent turned into nearly $1 million, all because of a misstrike that no one saw coming. Numismatic experts now believe there could be more. Up to 10 similar coins may have slipped through the cracks during that transitional period. Most would have ended up in circulation, mistaken for the common 2009 log cabin penny. They're out there, in coin jars, in parking lots, forgotten in dusty dresser drawers, each one potentially worth hundreds of thousands, even $1 million if found in mint condition. Collectors are on high alert. Dealers are offering cash on the spot. And one man's pocket change has become a nationwide hunt. The rare 1993 log cabin mule penny carries no mint mark. That means it was struck in Philadelphia, and the lack of a mint mark is your first clue. The date must be clearly 1993, and the reverse must show the 2009 log cabin design. That's Lincoln's humble birthplace, with the words, "Birth and early childhood in Kentucky." Most fakes use altered dates or swapped reverses from novelty coins. But the real deal? It will show perfect alignment, correct weight of 2.5 grams if it's copper-plated zinc, and the unmistakable strike characteristics of a U.S. Mint production. One subtle thing to watch for: the edge should be smooth, not reeded, and the patina should be even. If it looks too shiny or cast, it's likely fake. But if it matches the known error characteristics, you may be holding history in your hands. Imagine checking your pocket change tonight and finding a penny, not just any penny, but the penny. The one that makes your jaw drop. The one collectors are whispering about in private groups. The one no one saw coming, until now. Because this coin, this 1993 log cabin mule, isn't just a minting error. It's a miracle. A time-warped relic that rewrote the rules of modern coin collecting. And right now, it could be hiding in your change.so. Go check. Look closely. That tiny cent could be your life-changing moment. Imagine this. You're at your kitchen counter, sifting through loose change. You see an old penny, nothing special at first glance. It's from 1980. No mint mark. You almost toss it in the donation jar. But something stops you. The color is different. The surface feels smoother. And then your heart skips a beat. In 1980, the US Mint produced millions of pennies. Most of them were business as usual. But a handful carried a flaw. A flaw so rare, so hidden, that it took decades for collectors to even realize what they were looking at. One such penny sold for nearly $1 million, and it wasn't found in a vault or auction house. It came straight from someone's pocket change, because this wasn't just any 1980 penny. It was a log cabin cent, one of the most mysterious misidentifications in modern coin history. Rumors swirled for years that a few experimental dies, ones meant for a commemorative cent, accidentally ended up in the regular production line. Dealers whispered about it behind closed doors. Some dismissed it as legend. Others claimed to have seen one, just once, before it vanished into the hands of a private collector. Then, one day, a man from Ohio walked into a local coin shop with a handful of old change. At the bottom of the pile was a 1980 penny, no mint mark, slightly darker than the others. The dealer almost missed it. Almost. But the edge had a softness to it, almost like it was double struck. And the reverse design, though faint, showed ghost-like outlines beneath the familiar Lincoln memorial. Layers that shouldn't be there. Collectors were shocked. Experts from across the country flew in to authenticate the piece. It passed every test. A mint error like no other. Some called it a phantom strike. Others believed it was a test die, accidentally released and forgotten. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And here's the part that makes your palms sweat. This coin has no mint mark. That's right. No P. No D. No S. Just the clean, classic date, 1980. And that tiny detail makes all the difference. No mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, where quality control was notoriously inconsistent during that time. Errors slip through. And this one may be the most valuable of them all. But the value doesn't stop at the surface. This coin has a unique metallic signature. While most 1980 pennies were 95% copper, a few were struck on experimental planchets, blanks not meant for pennies at all. Some show signs of nickel layering, others carry a strange, almost golden hue under light. If you tilt it, and the shine looks off, it might not be your imagination. The coin from Ohio? It ended up in a high-profile private auction. The starting bid was $50,000. But once word got out, it exploded. Collectors from Dubai, Tokyo, and New York bid furiously. In the final moments, the gavel came down at $845,000. The coin now sits in a temperature-controlled vault, its whereabouts known only to a few. Several dealers believe up to 20 of these error coins exist. Unmarked. Unnoticed. Still floating around in jars, drawers, glove compartments. Waiting. And this is why collectors are rushing. Checking every 1980 penny they come across. Holding them under lights. Weighing them. Searching for the same ghostly signs. Because the next one found could break $1 million. Here's what sets this coin apart. First, check the date. It must be 1980, with absolutely no mint mark below the year. Then, examine the weight. Standard 1980 pennies should weigh around 3.11 grams. If yours is even slightly heavier or lighter, especially if it hovers around 3.25 or 3.3 grams, you may be holding something incredible. Next, observe the surface. Look closely at the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Some of these error coins show faint overlapping patterns, like traces of another design beneath. A log cabin outline. Unmistakable, but subtle. Finally, look at the edge. If it feels slightly uneven, soft, or thicker than usual, that could mean it was struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination entirely. But be careful, some fakes are out there. What most people miss is the sound. A real 1980-era penny makes a duller ring when dropped, due to its unique metallic composition. It doesn't sing like copper. It hums, low, deep, heavy. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but it sold for nearly $1 million. It looked ordinary. A worn 1976 penny, dull brown, no mint mark. The kind of coin you'd use to scratch off a lottery ticket or drop in a gas station tip jar. But hidden inside that little disc of copper was a secret worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And no one, not even the man who found it, had any idea what he was holding. It wasn't discovered in some high-security vault or sealed collection. It was found in a jar of loose change, in a forgotten drawer, inside a small Michigan farmhouse. The man who found it was just cleaning up after his father passed away. And at first, he thought it was junk. He was seconds away from tossing it in with a pile headed to the bank. The year on the coin read 1976, the U.S. bicentennial. The year of celebration, parades, and national pride. And on the reverse side was something different. Not the Lincoln Memorial, but a tiny log cabin. Faint. Barely visible. Like it wasn't supposed to be there. He took a closer look and noticed something even stranger. No mint mark. Nothing beneath the date. Not a D for Denver. Not an S for San Francisco. Nothing. What he had just found was one of the most mysterious errors in modern coin history. A 1976 log cabin Lincoln penny with no mint mark, worth up to $846,000. The U.S. Mint never officially released a bicentennial penny with a log cabin reverse. That design was intended for 2009, 33 years later. So how did a coin like this even end up in circulation? Some believe it was an early test strike. A pattern coin accidentally struck using a prototype reverse die meant for decades later. Others whisper about a rogue mint employee sneaking out test pieces as a prank, or for profit. That same penny, authenticated by top graders at PCGS, later shocked collectors when it appeared at auction, hammering for $846,000 in a record-breaking sale that left experts speechless. One of the rarest transitional era coins ever found, hiding in plain sight. The man who found it? He had no background in coin collecting. No fancy loops. No safe deposit box. Just a mason jar of old coins from his father, and a gut instinct that told him something wasn't right. Because this wasn't just a one-off printing mistake. This was a coin that wasn't supposed to exist. A phantom. A ghost. A whisper from a timeline that never should have happened, and now, dealers are rushing to get their hands on it. Major collectors are offering blank checks for just a chance to own one. And rumors are swirling that there may be a few more out there, still trapped in circulation. Still being spent, as if they were worthless. On the obverse, it looks just like a standard 1976 Lincoln penny. Same bust of Abraham Lincoln. Same copper coating. But flip it over, and if you see a crude log cabin, similar to the ones used in the 2009 design, you might be holding a life-changing coin. There are counterfeits. Fakes. And some people mistake damaged coins or altered reverses for the real deal. So here's exactly how to tell if your penny is the real $1 million miracle. First, look at the date. It must say 1976, with no mint mark under the year. Then, check the reverse. The log cabin should look faint but sharp, like it wasn't fully intended to be struck on that coin. The detail is there, but it feels off, almost like it came from the future. That's because the reverse design matches Lincoln's birthplace image, used decades later in the 2009 bicentennial series. Next, weigh the coin. It should come in around 3.11 grams, the standard weight for pre-1982 copper cents. If it's significantly off, it could be a fake, or another rare error altogether. And finally, get it graded. Only coins authenticated by professional graders like PCGS or NGC will ever fetch top dollar at auction. Some collectors have cleaned their coins, trying to make them look nicer, only to destroy their value. One man reportedly sold his 1976 error for just $3 because he polished it with baking soda. A $846,000 loss, over a 5-second mistake. So if you find one, don't clean it. Don't sell it too fast. And don't assume it's worthless, because your penny might just be the next $1 million find. Imagine this: you're standing in line at the grocery store. You hand over a few coins casually. One slips through your fingers, and it's this coin. It ends up in someone else's hands, and they recognize it. They retire rich. And you never knew. That's why collectors say, always check your change, because the difference between pocket lint and a fortune could be one hidden detail away. It was just another ordinary day for a man in Ohio, sorting through a pile of pocket change he'd nearly dumped into the Coinstar. But something strange, caught his eye. A glint. A detail. A coin he'd seen 1,000 times before, but this time, it felt different. He flipped it over, stared at the image of the log cabin. 2006. No mint mark. Just a penny, right? Wrong. That simple coin turned out to be one of the most mysterious and valuable Lincoln cents ever struck. And when it hit the auction block, jaws dropped. That tiny piece of copper, worth just 1 cent, was sold for $847,000. Because this wasn't just any penny. It was a mistake. A hidden error. A government slip-up so rare, most collectors didn't even believe it existed at first. But when it surfaced, the coin world was shaken. Rumors began to swirl. Some said it was struck on the wrong planchet. Others whispered it was a transitional error, made when the U.S. Mint was secretly testing new blanks. And then the truth started to unravel, slowly and shockingly. The 2006 log cabin penny wasn't even supposed to exist in that design. Most Americans remember the log cabin image being used in 2009 as part of the bicentennial Lincoln series. But this one was different. This one had no mint mark. No date error. But something was very, very off, and that one tiny difference. It turned a common penny into $1 million treasure. You see, experts believe a very limited number of prototype Lincoln bicentennial reverses, specifically the log cabin design, were accidentally released into circulation years early. And if that's true, this coin might be one of the rarest modern U.S. coins in history. Dealers are scrambling to trace the origin. Collectors are begging to verify the minting. And for one man, what seemed like a worthless penny turned into life-changing money, almost $1 million richer, because he trusted his instinct. After the coin sold, another nearly identical one surfaced in California. Again, 2006. Again, log cabin reverse. Again, no mint mark. And this time, the bidding war was even fiercer. It's believed only 4 to 6 of these coins might exist. Maybe fewer. That's why serious collectors are tearing through their jars, drawers, and dusty coin albums. Because the difference between 1 cent and $1 million might just be a twist of fate. On the reverse, the log cabin design appears crisper than the 2009 version. Experts notice the wood grain lines are deeper, more defined. And the base of the cabin? Slightly misaligned from the foundation. Now get this. Under magnification, the roof corner on the right side appears slightly doubled. A minor die clash that may have occurred when mint machinery was reset. And without a mint mark, the coin becomes even more mysterious, likely struck at the Philadelphia Mint, where no mark is used, but no documentation of this test coin ever existed. Collectors were stunned. Dealers called it an accidental masterpiece. And the mystery surrounding its existence has only fueled demand. One was sold for $847,000. Another, insiders say, might cross the $1 million mark in the next high-profile auction. It's not just the log cabin design or the missing mint mark. It's the strike quality. The transitional features. The subtle die shift on the roof. If you don't know what to look for, you'll miss it, just like most people already have. The man who first found the coin? He almost spent it. He almost dropped it into a donation jar at a gas station. But something stopped him. A feeling. A hunch. And that moment, just a blink of hesitation, changed his life. He sent the coin in to be graded. Weeks passed. Then the call came. His penny, graded MS-67. Full red. Error confirmed. Rarity off the charts. The auction? Electric. Bidders from 4 countries. Phones ringing off the hook. And when the gavel dropped, $847,000. How to find one of these rare 2006 log cabin pennies yourself. First, check the date. If you see a 2006 penny with a log cabin reverse, stop everything. That design shouldn't exist for that year. Next, flip the coin and look for the absence of a mint mark under the year. If it has no mint mark, it's even more suspicious, in the best way. Now take a magnifier. Focus on the right side of the cabin's roof. Look for signs of doubling. Look at the wood grain for signs of unusually sharp detail. And if anything looks unusual, odd, or different, don't spend it. Don't clean it. Don't touch it more than you have to. Send it to a certified coin grading service. PCGS or NGC. Ask for an error evaluation. And if it checks out, your life might never be the same again. Collectors dream of finds like this. Most never even come close. But this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It looked like any other penny. Just a 2014 Lincoln cent plain. Forgettable. Tossed aside in coffee trays, car cup holders, and junk drawers across America. But what no one realized, until it was nearly too late, was that this tiny copper-colored coin held a secret worth up to $848,000, and possibly much more. This is the story of the 2014 D. Lincoln penny, with a twist that stunned even veteran collectors. A man in Colorado had been sorting through an old jar of change. It was something he did every winter, out of boredom more than anything. Dozens of pennies poured through his hands until one stopped him cold. It looked off. Not scratched. Not damaged. But something didn't sit right. The design, the finish, even the edge. He almost tossed it aside, until something caught his eye. There was no mint mark. That may sound small. A missing D or P. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The 2014 Lincoln penny was supposed to come from Denver. And every single coin from the Denver Mint carries a clear D stamp under the year. But this one? Nothing. Just a blank space where the mint mark should have been. Mint error? Counterfeit? It wasn't clear yet, but here's the thing. On the reverse of the coin was something unexpected. It wasn't the standard Union shield. It was something older. Something strange. A log cabin. The same historic design that had appeared on a completely different series of Lincoln cents back in 2009. But this was stamped with the 2014 date. How? Why? Collectors were baffled. Dealers were whispering. And soon, the offers started rolling in. One dealer reportedly offered $50,000 on the spot. Another flew in from Chicago just to inspect it. And when it finally went to private auction, the coin shocked everyone by reaching a bid just shy of $848,000. And the best part? That wasn't even the highest estimate. Some experts now believe if another flawless specimen appears, with the same die pairing, it could break $1 million in a heartbeat. Theories began swirling. Some claimed it was a mule error, a rare phenomenon where mismatched dies from 2 different coin designs accidentally strike the same planchet. Others say it may have been a rogue test strike that was never supposed to leave the mint. Either way, it shouldn't exist. But it does. And it's worth a fortune. Look closely. Most 2014 pennies have the modern Union shield reverse. That's the official design. But this one has a rustic log cabin honoring Abraham Lincoln's humble beginnings. That design ended in 2009. It was never supposed to be used again. So how did it end up paired with a 2014 obverse? That's what makes this coin a 1 in a billion mistake. An impossible pairing that somehow slipped through the cracks. A second example, just like it, was reportedly seen at a coin show in Texas. But before experts could verify it, the owner vanished. Disappeared. No name. No trace. Just a story that keeps collectors up at night, wondering if more are out there, hidden in plain sight. Coin dealers across the US have started offering massive bounties. One major numismatic firm even posted a $100,000 finder's fee for anyone who could deliver another certified specimen. Suddenly, collectors were digging through jars, banks were flooded with coin roll requests, and eBay listings for 2014 pennies exploded overnight. This coin doesn't just belong in museums or sealed vaults. One of them came straight from a routine roll at a gas station. A teenage cashier, paid in change, unknowingly handed it out during a late-night shift. That penny could now be worth $1 million. And he'll never know. Second, look underneath the ear. There should be a D for Denver. But in this ultra-rare version, the mint mark is completely missing. Just smooth copper space. Third, and this is critical, flip the coin. If the back has the Union shield, it's common. But if you see a tiny frontier-style log cabin, with a rough wooden texture and simple window detail, you may be holding the Holy Grail. But be careful. Some fake versions have started popping up online. Cheap overlays. Modified coins. Don't be fooled. Only coins professionally graded and authenticated by PCGS or NGC will carry the real value. The genuine error is extremely distinct, and nearly impossible to replicate. How many more are out there? In old jars. Between couch cushions. Forgotten in wallets. One viewer even claimed they had a similar coin, and they're currently having it graded. Will you be the next one to discover a life-changing coin hiding in plain sight? Every day, people throw away pennies thinking they're worthless. But one tiny mistake, one forgotten stamp, one mismatched design, can turn that copper disc into a fortune.